You woke? Time to get up. Alvin, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I want to start off talking about, it is Black History Month, right? So let's talk about that. This is where we celebrate the tragedies and triumphs of people who are descendant from Africa, the black indigenous people of Africa that were brought over here, or who came over here, because there were some who did come over here in the later years, and celebrate their victories and their triumphs and their failures and their hurts in this country. And that's what Black History Month is really about. It's a celebration of that. Today I'm not going to talk about a historical event. I'm talking about the current events going on, but I will have some future episodes on some historical things that have happened in the United States. I'm going to be looking at Black Rebellion, some black successes in other areas, black resistance. That's my area. That's the places where I like to look at stuff, so we can think about how can we improve in the future, and understanding our past. We do have this whole thing going on now where folks want to ban CRT, which is actually banning certain elements of black history about slavery, the cruelty towards black people during the Jim Crow years. People who really want to ban that. And I'll talk about that later. A couple of interesting stories that have recently come up. Let's start with Brian Flores in the NFL. Brian Flores was the former coach of the Miami Dolphins. He has sued the NFL for discriminatory practices and also for actually paying him to tank particular games. So he's brought up some very interesting things. He's got a text message supposedly from Bill Belichick, in which Bill Belichick says, "Congratulations for winning the job." And then turns out that he wasn't congratulating Brian Flores. He was actually congratulating Brian Boulos, the coordinator for current coordinator for the Bills, who is now going to become the head coach of Denver. Yet Brian Flores had not even interviewed for the job, and he was going to interview for the job that week. There's this thing called Rooney Rule in the NFL. So in the Rooney Rule, basically what it says, without putting a quota on it or any kind of definition of hiring or preferences, it says that they will interview African Americans for general manager jobs and executive jobs in their hiring process. So there's various types of rules on how they do this. It's kind of like, I pick 5 guys. I've already decided who I really want as my coach, but I got to put a black guy or 2 in here on the interview process, because that's what we want to do in the NFL to make it look like it was a fair process, right? So it's a matter of making it look like a fair process when it may not actually be a fair process. Now, this same rule has been applied to other jobs in other situations. Now, you got to understand that the EEOC has a very narrow line that it can work. So here's where Brian Flores runs into some issues, because there are black GMs in the NFL. There are black executives in other positions in the NFL. So they're going to... It's like one of those lawsuits where you have to sue on your own. You can't exactly sue the NFL for that. But when you look at the list of coaches, there are 32 teams. There's only one black coach on that list. One black coach. That's Tomlin in Pittsburgh. Just that one black coach. Now, he's come out. He's gotten a little support from Hugh Jackson and some other former coaches in the NFL. What you need to see more of, however, is support from current coach. Mike Tomlin would be one of those that would also from current NFL players, because he's getting a lot of support from past players who are retired. The NFL is a lot different than NBA. In the NBA, these folks don't mind expressing how they feel about anything. The NBA, just a few years ago, during the Black Lives Matter protests, they were thinking about walking out. The players were going to walk out, and they said, "Hold up now, we can't let y'all walk out. Don't walk out." But they were thinking about leaving and not playing at all, because it was just too much. Just too much going on, right? So we think about that, and we look at the NFL, they put little messages on the back of their helmets and did this. And remember Colin Kaepernick got on his knee, and it just totally destroyed the NFL as far as how they stand on certain things. They were like, "Oh, he can't do that." So his career was destroyed because he took a knee during the national anthem. NFL reaction to that was instantaneous almost. It's like eventually he was let go from the team he was on. He was, at the time, he had the second string, but he's a decent quarterback. He's better than half the quarterbacks they've not allowed him to come back for. All these teams that have skipped over him have had some pretty bad backups that they put in the game. Remember Dallas, what was it, last year, when they kept on fighting, trying to find somebody to take Dak Prescott's place? Yeah, Cooper Kupp. And guys like that, they did not prove to be great. Even though Cooper Kupp this year, I think, won one game while Dak was recovering from injury. I think he won one game out of the whole. Anyway, just there was even looking at the Saints this year and the quarterback problems they had. No offense to Tannehill, but he's a good backup, and he looked like a really good backup about third or fourth string. When you could have got other quarterbacks that are better, but they Deshaun Watkins, Colin Kaepernick, but you didn't want those. So the NFL is funny about how it treats black players, how it treats black coaches, so on and so forth. So this, like I said, this Brian Flores case is very, very interesting because he puts at risk his chance of getting the job. He is, I think, currently one of the top candidates. This is the word I hate that they use in the NFL. Top candidate for the jobs with the Saints and one other team. And my problem is I don't think they will hire him because they're going to hire some other coach, but I'm going to put you on that list as one of the top candidates for the job. And I think he would do a great job. He had a winning season in Miami. Considering the talent he had there, he had a winning season in Miami. They just didn't make the playoffs. That says a lot about him. I think they went 9-8, 9-7, whatever. I think because we added another game this year, so it's 9-8. But anyway, he had a winning season. He did a decent job. They fired him anyway. He was turning the ship around as far as I was concerned in Miami, but they fired him anyway. And see, this is the thing: black coaches don't get a chance. Hugh Jackson was in Cleveland with the Cleveland Browns. I think they went through in the time since Hugh Jackson 3 coaches, but Hugh Jackson didn't get much of an opportunity there. They just felt like he was a big failure, but he wasn't, like he said, he wasn't given the tools to do the job. Marvin Lewis talks about being with Cincinnati. Now, he was a winning coach for years at Cincinnati, but things started falling apart and they weren't giving him tools or the opportunity to get that job back. And he's not the only one. That story is repeated time and time again from other black coaches in the NFL. They're not in the in crowd. You got like in San Francisco, the son of another coach, an NFL winning coach, is now coaching a team. You got other teams where so it's like a exclusive club that these folks belong to. You hear about the Good Old Boy Network. You even got a team now that's got a guy who's never, I think he was a position coach, but he's been like in the management team for a while now. He's the head coach of a football team. Yet Eric Bieniemy is sitting over there at either Tampa Bay or Kansas City, and he's been on the front line. Everybody saying he's one of the front runners for jobs for years, but he can't get one. The Rooney Rule has been used time and time again. I'm going to interview, but I'm not going to give you the job. Instead, I'm going to give you to this guy who won maybe one Super Bowl one year, or maybe hasn't won anything at all, but he's been a head coach somewhere else, and he's a white guy, because all the white guys have been coaches. Mike Tomlin is the only one that's consistent right now. I don't know if it's because they're giving him the opportunity, or it's because he's been a winning coach every year he's been in the league. 15 years, 15 winning seasons. I mean, he started off a winner, but he picked up the Pittsburgh Steelers when they had pretty good set of talent, and you think about it, he's had LeVar Bell, he's had Antonio Brown, and he definitely had what's his name, the quarterback. He's had him for a couple of years. I mean, for several years. In fact, I think it's the entire time he was there, he had him as a quarterback. So Mike Thomas had the success and the defense, that Steel Shield. It was pretty good under him, and it'll probably be good again. He almost got him close to the playoffs. Got him close. So, and I'm going on and on about football, but it's just a look at the thing. So Tomlin is not there. There's other coaches who have failed this year, and they still got their jobs. And we're looking at the debacle that's going on in Tampa Bay. Brady retired. Players are talking about leaving and retiring, or going to elsewhere in free agency. Bruce Arians is a superstar there. Remember what happened with Antonio Brown. Sometimes I'm gonna say this about the Antonio Brown story. Like I said, I kind of stayed neutral on that story. But here's the thing: he walked off the field. That was his freedom. He got away from the NFL. He said, "You know what? Hey, you don't want me here? I'm gone." Now he may never get another job again. 33 years old, he's played in the NFL. He's got enough on his resume, pretty much, that could possibly put him in the Hall of Fame, but he'll be delayed because of what he did. But that's what I'm saying. The NFL is about this certain thing, and players are kept under this tight guard, and so are coaches. They're kept under this little tight guard behind this white elite wall of ownership. And I know people say, don't say that. Don't say that. Don't get it. No, it's a white wall of elite owners. They got a lot of money. Look at Jones down there in Dallas. Got a lot of money. Look at old boy up there in the Patriots. And think about what he did. He actually went to a brothel and was participating in sex trafficking. Yet Deshaun Watkins' story is worse than his, right? You're paying for women who are being trafficked in sex to have sex with you. you're involved in the ring, so on and so forth. And that story just disappeared. Like, ooh, it didn't happen. It happened. He really did that. He's the owner of a team, and he did that, right? That's true. That's just as bad as Deshaun Watkins down there with the massage thing, right? Anyway, in the NFL, being black is monolithic. You're a good product on the field to play the game, but you don't have the ability to make decisions or rules. It just seems that way with the NFL. You don't have the ability to be the leader of the team, the head coach, that visible manager on the field that people see. They'll put you in the back room to be a GM, and they might not even make you a real GM. Somebody else, the owners also have a voice in who gets on the team, but they make you a GM of the team or something in the background, but they can't be a head coach. Like I said, it's just funny that we see this, and this Rooney Rule keeps getting played over and over again. It's like, I'm interviewing you, but you aren't. And it happens in regular jobs. I've been interviewed for a job, not knowing that the particular manager I'm sitting there has already chose somebody, but I'm just a person on the list he's got to interview because they say he's got to interview 5 people. And, of course, some of them have to be African-American. This really happens on jobs. This happens every day in America on a job. At the same time, there's a side of me that would wish that these black players would take their game on the road. The coaches would take their game on the road. And people like the man who's trying to buy the Denver Broncos, he would start a league of his own for black players. These talented black players that become a product in their own league with rules that would protect them as players. And that's something Antonio Brown said. They don't want to protect me as a player. They don't. They just want you to make money. You're a product on the field. If that product is broken, what do? They throw it to the side and get another one. That's how the NFL works. And that's why in their exclusive club, they haven't let a black man in as an owner of a team yet. I hope the guy gets the Denver team. It'll be wonderful. But why do we keep fighting to get in the door on things like that? Brian Flores got to sue because, it's his job. He works for them. That's the thing. It becomes about, that's the reason why Brian Flores is suing or why a player sues. But we're fighting to get in the door. I thought about Jay-Z. They spent a lot of money to get Jay-Z involved in the NFL. I think he invested in some football teams and doing that stuff right after the Kaepernick situation. Well, we got to do better as owners and stuff of how we treat black players, how we treat black people that work in the on the football, right? Then Jay-Z came along and said, "Well, we're not worried about Kaepernick. Kaepernick was last year. We're moving on from that." They hired a black to be their white voice, and I'm being honest with you, Jay-Z. For a moment, that's the I'm putting on the 2-tap shoes and saying, "Well, you better be careful talking about Jay-Z. He a gangster." Yeah, okay, whatever. Before he was a rapper, he was a drug dealer, right? That was true. I mean, he told his story, and he became a success story, and he got away from that. He got away from the streets, and he became that. Great. Wonderful. That's what we're supposed to do. That is what we're supposed to do. But remember, on the streets selling drugs, you were selling it to who? And what neighborhoods were you selling it in? And what people got hurt because of the drugs that you were selling? The money is funny. People get all involved in it and think it's a great thing, which, it's a good thing to have. It's a tool. It's something good to have, really. Why do you think I do a podcast? Because eventually I'm going to monetize this thing and it's going to make money for me, right? But selling out for that dollar is all wrong. You never should sell out for $1. Man, you're a fool if you think that. I remember sitting there talking to somebody one day. I said, man, look at that guy right there. Look what he's doing. Big wheel. He's a grown man driving. Well, he's getting millions of dollars right around there. It's the image, though. I'm not going to sell out myself for certain things. I read the Bible every day. So there was a lot of times in the Bible, God was a person that didn't believe in selling out. And that's why he took them. And people act like there was only one time in the Bible that he threw the money changers out of the temple, and that was when he went to Jerusalem. No, he did it more than that. Every time he went to the temple and he saw it, he was like, man, I'm just tired of this. I can't believe that you're selling out God for money. You're selling your soul. We sell our souls for money every day, even at our jobs and everything else. So it makes us silent to the pains and the hurts against other people. We get silent to the injustice. As long as you pay me a check, you can beat the hell out of whoever you want. That's what the world becomes. So Brian Flores, like I said, makes a sacrifice. He's suing the NFL. It probably will ruin his career. Hugh Jackson talked about the NFL. They'll probably never invite him back. Marvin Lewis gets involved. They will never invite him back. Who knows? They might survive and they might get invited back. We'll see what happens. But there's a chance that they won't. But the allegations are serious. And the fact that, we think about that the NFL is all about betting and sports betting. Here goes the gangsters thing. There were people who were actually possibly playing coaches to tank games. And see, that's kind of a distraction from the lawsuit, because the lawsuit should be just about the discrimination. Of course, if you listen to the media and all those people, they're not going in depth as I am right now. This is serious. It's something you can't play around with. Seriously, you can't. You have been listening to Thought You're Woke, No Speed Limit Podcast.